I was 30 when I found out I was pregnant. It wasn't supposed to happen. Birth control was my safety net, though I'd admit to skipping a pill here and there, thinking it wouldn't catch up with me. But it did. The two pink lines stared back at me in the bathroom, and my stomach dropped, not with joy but with dread. Lance, my boyfriend of 5 years, was in the living room, laughing at some dumb sitcom, oblivious. I stuffed the test into the trash under a pile of tissues and decided right then he didn't need to know. Not yet. Maybe not ever. For weeks, I carried the secret like a stone in my pocket. I'd sit across from Lance at dinner, nodding as he talked about his day at the auto shop, while I scrolled abortion clinics on my phone under the table. I'd tell myself it was my body, my choice, textbook reasoning I'd heard 1,000 times. Lance didn't need a vote. He'd probably want to keep it anyway, and I wasn't ready for that life. Diapers, sleepless nights, a kid tie me down when I still hadn't figured out who I was. So I booked the appointment, picked a Tuesday when he'd be working late, and kept my mouth shut. But secrets don't stay buried. One night, I forgot to clear my browser history, and Lance found it. Abortion clinic tabs glowing on my laptop screen. He didn't yell, didn't storm out. He just stood there, holding a tiny pair of blue baby sneakers he'd apparently bought that day. His face lit up like Christmas morning. "Carly, are you pregnant?" he asked, voice shaking with hope. I could have lied, but the truth clawed its way out. "Yeah," I said, then added, flat as stone, "I'm getting rid of it next week." Already set. His smile crumpled. He dropped the sneakers, and I watched the light drain from his eyes. "You weren't going to tell me?" he whispered. I shrugged, defensive. "It's my call, Lance." "You don't get it. You just guilt me into keeping it." He stepped back like I'd hit him. "Guilt you? I'd have supported you either way. But you didn't even give me a chance to say it." His voice broke, and I saw the hurt, raw and deep, but I doubled down. "You're pressuring me right now." I snapped. "This is why I didn't tell you." He stared at me, a stranger suddenly, then walked out the door. I told myself he'd come back. He always did. The clinic was cold, sterile. The kind of place that makes your skin feel too tight. I sat in the waiting room, hands clasped over my stomach, staring at the faded floral wallpaper. I'd made it this far, paid the deposit, taken the day off work, told myself it was just a procedure, like pulling a tooth. But when they called my name, I froze. Something shifted, a quiet ache I couldn't name, and I bolted out the door into the parking lot, gasping like I'd been underwater. I kept the baby. Not for Lance, not for anyone, just because I couldn't go through with it. I tried to fix things after that. I called him, left voicemail saying I'd changed my mind, that we could do this together. But Lance was done. He'd moved out while I was at work, left his key on the counter with a note. "I can't trust you anymore." I stood in our empty apartment, the silence screaming, and realized I'd torched us. 5 years, gone because I'd shut him out. I thought I was protecting myself, but I just pushed away the one person who'd love me without strings. 9 months later, I gave birth alone. A boy, with Lance's hazel eyes and my stubborn chin. I named him Ethan, sent Lance a picture, and waited. He showed up a week later, not for me, but for his son. We're civil now, co-parenting across a careful distance. He brings Ethan toy cars, reads him stories, and I see the dad he'd always wanted to be. But when he looks at me, it's polite, hollow, like I'm a co-worker he tolerates. The love's gone, and I did that. I tell myself I'm fine. I post on Instagram, smiling with Ethan, captions about strength and independence, because it's easier than admitting the truth. Late at night, when the apartment's quiet except for Ethan's soft breathing, I replay it all. The pregnancy wasn't a mistake. Losing Lance was. I thought I could control everything, my body, my future, our life, without letting him in. Now I'm a mom, sure, but I'm also alone, staring at the wreckage of what we had, knowing I built it brick by brick. Some things I've learned you can't undo, no matter how hard you try to rewrite the story.